Howdy, I'm Jazzman Greg Tivis from GregTivis.com, here today to do a little cooking for you. I play music, as you know, and you can hear the music in the background, but around my friends and family I'm known as the Grill Master because I love to cook everything on the grill. For obvious reasons, there's no cooking odor or smell in the house, and there's no pots and pans to clean, and everything tastes great on the grill. But like my daughter Jamie pointed out, not everybody has a grill or lives in a place where you can use a grill. So I thought today I would come over to Jamie's kitchen and demonstrate how to cook a great steak dinner in your kitchen, the way my grandfather taught me, in the pan. And I've got the most versatile kitchen tool you can have, a nice heavy cast iron pan. You could also use a stainless steel pan, but you want to make sure you use one with a good thick bottom, a good heavy pan, not a light pan. This is not a light pan deal. You don't use a non-stick pan with a Teflon coating. That's not going to brown the steak, so that will not work. Preferably you need to use a heavy steel pan or a cast iron skillet. One of those two. So there's three principles to cooking a good steak, whether you're cooking it in the pan or on the grill, and that's have a good cut of meat. Jonathan, that's not my music. You gotta have a good cut of meat, and you gotta cook it on high heat and only turn it once. Good cut of meat, high heat, only turn it once. Those are the three principal rules of cooking a good steak. Cooking one correctly. Let's talk about a good cut of meat. There are three levels of meat at the supermarket. Now, if you live in a small town, you may not have access to all, but in a decent-sized city, when you go to one of the supermarkets, they're going to have three levels of meat. You're going to have select, which is what you find in the main case there about the hamburger meat, and you're going to have choice, which is a step above, and you're going to have prime. They've got other things out there now, natural fed and other things to confuse you, but those are the main three categories. The prime steaks you're going to find over in the butcher's cabinet. They're going to be quite a bit more pricey. Now for a steak, there's three cuts to look at for a steak. There's lots of steaks in the cabinet there that say they're great for grilling and all that, lots of cuts of meat, but there's only three steaks that are primarily used for a steak dinner, and that is a ribeye, or a strip steak, commonly referred to as a New York strip, or a sirloin steak, which is commonly what you're going to get one of these Texas steakhouses where they serve those giant steaks. It's always a big thick sirloin. These all make great steaks. Tenderloin, that's a different subject for another day. We're just going to stick with a classic steak dinner here using a ribeye steak, which is my favorite of the three steaks that I mentioned. Although I will say, the three steaks, a ribeye, a strip, and a sirloin, they all have a little different density to them, and they all have a little different flavor. My second choice would be a sirloin. And sirloin is a lot cheaper than a ribeye, so a good tip is you can buy a prime sirloin steak for reasonably cheap. And that makes a good steak, especially if you get a good thick one, a center cut sirloin. Anyway, today we're going to be using a ribeye, and it's just a select one. If you go to the prime counter and look at the steaks in the butcher's counter, you're going to see that they have a lot of fat marbled through them. That's what you want. Even when you're shopping the regular select steaks, I'm looking for something that you can see. This doesn't have a lot of fat marbled through the meat, but it has a fair amount of fat in the steak throughout. That's what's going to make for a good, juicy steak. So that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for a real lean piece of meat. That's just going to make for a tough steak. You want a steak with a lot of fat. So I've already got the steak sitting out here at room temperature for a few minutes. The closer it gets to room temperature, the more evenly it's going to cook. The quicker it's going to cook too, because it takes quite a while to pan fry a steak, longer than it would on a grill typically. So anyway, let's get this puppy prepped. Meanwhile, I've got my pan, I've got my steak sitting out at room temperature, and I've got my pan already preheating. Because I want this pan really hot. You know, the way to tell if a cast iron pan is good and hot through and through is when the panel gets too hot to touch, like it is right now. That's when you know this pan is evenly heated up. In a pan like this, a test would be you can take, I've got these pans on medium-high heat. You could lay a paper towel in there, and when that paper towel starts to brown, then that pan's at the right temperature. Anyway, let's go ahead and season up this steak. I'm going to use one of my favorite combinations of seasoning. We'll talk a little bit more about seasoning while the steak is cooking. But I'm going to use a garlic and coffee rub on one side of the steak. So first I'm going to take some just garlic powder. I'm going to dust the steak with it lightly.
I'm going to zoom in on that.
Yeah. Come on in, cameraman. And I'm going to sprinkle a little regular dark roast coffee on it. If I can get it to come out without jumping out. Coffee, like a good wine, it enhances the flavor of the beef. So I'm going to give this a good rub those flavors right into the beef there. Okay, then we'll flip it over. And for a little different flavoring, I'm going to do something different on the other side. I'm going to use some Worcestershire sauce. By the way, don't ever rinse your meat off in the sink. That's a bad idea. All you're going to do is cross-contaminate everything around your sink. We're going to cook the steak, so that's going to kill any undesirable bacteria. If your steak is excessively moist, you might pat it down with a paper towel before you season it. Don't ever rinse meat in the sink. Raw meat. That's a no-no. Here we got some McCormick's Montreal steak seasoning. This is my go-to. It's inexpensive. It's a good steak seasoning. Okay. I like quite a bit, but to each his own. So we got that. Steak is ready to go. Like I said, we'll talk more about pre-seasoning. We'll talk more about how to season the steak in just a minute. My pan is good and hot. I'm going to spray it down with a little Pam. You could take some oil. You could do take a bottle of oil and do like this on a paper towel. Wipe that in there. You can throw a pat of butter in there. Whatever. We don't want to put a lot of oil in the pan because we don't want to fry the steak. We don't want grease popping everywhere. We just want to coat the bottom of the pan. So this pan's a little bit hot. I'm not used to this. A little bit too hot. I'm not used to the stove. So I'm adjusting that heat a little bit over there. I'm just going to throw that steak right in there. That's a great sound right there. Okay. We're going to have to turn on the fan here. So right here is in it. We're going to set off the smoke alarm. Okay, while that's going, let's talk more about seasoning a steak. Some people prefer just a little bit of light salt and pepper because they want to taste the beef. And I can understand that. Some people want to taste the meat. Go ahead and crack that back a little bit. And so, me personally, I like a well-seasoned steak. You're still gonna taste the beef, believe me. But one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to pre-season a steak and let it sit around, because that's not a good idea. I don't know if you've ever made the mistake of, say you're going to have a dinner party and you prep the salad in advance and you decide you're going to go ahead and salt and pepper that salad before your guests got there, and then you go back to it to serve it and all your lettuce has wilted. John, open that back door before the smoke goes off. This is the drawback to this. But You don't want to, if you go back to the salad, the salt is going to draw out all the moisture from the salad. It's going to be wilted. And it'll do the same thing to your steak. It'll draw all the moisture out of it. You'll end up with a dry steak. So don't ever put salt on a steak until the last minute right before you cook it. I don't even like to put salt on a steak until I serve it, until I'm ready to eat it. So, that's the rule of thumb about that. We're going to let the steak cook. We want to cook it about 3/4 on one side and then about 1/4 on the other side. Talking about seasoning, for marinating stuff, the reason you marinate meat is because you're taking a tough piece of meat, like a skirt steak or a flank steak that you're going to use for fajitas or something like that, and you're trying to moisten, tenderize the meat. We don't want to do that to the steak. That's just going to dry it out. Don't season it until you're ready to cook it. Don't salt it until you're ready to eat it. Also, don't turn it over with a fork. Don't use a meat thermometer. Poking a hole in the steak is a bad idea. The reason for searing the steak is to lock that moisture inside of it. You poke a hole in it, the juice is going to run right out of it. We don't want to do that. So, this is a big steak here. It's going to take a few minutes. You have a lid. Okay. You put a lid on this and cock it where it leaves open on top. That'll speed up the cooking process of this. That can take too long. Smells good.
Right. In one of those cabinets. In one of those cabinets, there might be a lid.
Anyway, looking good. This is a Texas side steak here. Now, I'm just cooking one steak. Let's talk about if you were cooking for two. This is just cooking for two. This is a really big steak. If you're cooking for two, you could A, use 2 pans and create twice as much smoke. Or B, you could get two steaks that would fit in your pan, 2 smaller steaks, but they would need to fit in your pan when there's at least an inch of clearance around both of them, the side of the pan and between each steak, and then cook properly in the pan. Or C, the easiest thing to do, and this is what I would do at home, is sort of cook one, and then when I take it off, cook the other one, and wrap the other one in foil after it's rested for a minute. So, we'll peek under there. Woo, man, look at that. Got a beautiful char on it. Got coffee. What you want is a nice, crispy, crunchy char on the outside and a good red center. If you like them rare like I do. So I said a minute ago, we're not going to stick a meat thermometer in this thing. That would be sacrilegious as far as I'm concerned. We're going to use the finger test method. So if you don't know what that is, you take the palm of your hand and you have your hand relaxed and you press in right here. That's about the way a steak feels when it's raw. If you put your first finger together, that's the way a steak feels when it's rare. Your second finger together, that's medium rare. That's done. That's well done. So we want the steak to feel about like that right there when I push on it. And I'm pushing on it and I can still feel that it feels pretty rare. So this is a big piece of meat. This is going to take it just a little bit longer. Now beef has an interesting property to it. It really retains the heat when you take it off the grill or out of the pan. It's going to continue to cook for a minute. So, in other words, the temperature is going to continue to increase. It'll continue to cook for a couple of minutes after you take it off the heat. That's why you don't want to wrap it in foil immediately when you take it off if you're going to set it aside for a minute. You want to let it sit there and rest. It's very important to let your steak rest before you cut into it or serve it, because by the same principle, if you take it out right off the heat and cut right into it, all the juice is going to run out on the plate, and you'll lost that. So you want to keep that juice in there. So be sure to let your steak rest for 4 to 5 minutes once you take it off the heat before you serve it. Okay, you got a plate? Right here. All right. Well, feel sorry for you people at home. Grandpa used to say, I wonder what the pork floss are doing. This steak looks great. Okay. It's starting to feel right, so we'll go ahead and take it off here in a minute. This time let's keep it steamed. Curl up a little bit around the edge, just want to make sure it gets done around the edge. Take that thing off. Just let it sit there for this. Dang, I hope you're hungry.
Very.
Alright. Anyway, so that's the secrets to cooking a good steak inside. So all we gotta do now is wait just a minute or two and we'll taste it. Looks good. So you take it out here.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I highly recommend this Montreal steak seasoning. It's a good middle of the road steak seasoning. It's got a nice combination of flavors. And my other daughter, Keena, another great use for this is for tuna steak. Just cover the steak with this and cook it the same fashion. Well, you want the tuna steak more rare, of course, but it's really makes a great flavor. I can tell that things will be great. So again, ribeye, a strip, or a sirloin. High heat, turn it once. Let the steak sit out and get it to room temperature before you cook it. Make sure your pan's good and hot. Season the steak right as you're going to cook it. Use a little oil or butter in the pan. Don't pre-season your steak. Don't poke a hole in it. Don't rinse it off with water. Okay? Where's the fork? I'm hungry. Okay. Look at that. Perfection. Oh my God. Can't wait. Here, Jamie, you get the first taste. You might need a little salt.
Delicious.
Melt in your mouth. Great stuff. Enjoy. We'll see you next time.